Police in Rochester, New York are facing massive backlash after body camera footage of a 9-year-old girl being pepper sprayed went viral. So look, I'm not going to be showing you the video. The video is disturbing. It is of a minor, and so I'm not going to do that. Okay, but I am going to explain kind of what happened. So according to reports, police had responded to a family dispute. So now I think that's the first mistake. I think if you're a family and you're having, and a family member is having like a mental health crisis, I wouldn't call the cops. I wouldn't call the cops. Okay. Generally, that tends to be a recipe for somebody getting shot. So, and thankfully in this situation that didn't happen, but boy, it wasn't good. And so let me describe what's in the video. So in Friday's incident, Rochester Police Deputy Police Chief Andre Anderson told reporters that the girl had indicated that she wanted to kill herself and wanted to kill her parents, or her mother specifically. So this sounds like a mental health crisis. So now the girl had also tried to run away, and that's when police officers handcuffed her and attempted to take her to a hospital in a patrol car. So, you had video, of course, where she was pushed into the snow in order to, handcuff her while she screamed for her father. At one point, an officer had said, quote, "You're acting like a child." Think about that for a second. She's 9. And the officer's like, "Quit, you're acting like a child." To which she responded, "I am a child." Well, then what are you doing handcuffing her? But it gets worse. She's not only handcuffed, but also pepper sprayed. One female officer tells a young girl who was handcuffed and sitting on the edge of the police car's back seat, saying, quote, "This is your last chance, or pepper sprays going in your eyeballs." What? To which she responded, of course, by saying, I want my dad," and of course was crying because she's getting pepper sprayed. But this is actually before that happened. From the other side of the cruiser, a separate officer can be heard saying, "Just pepper spray her." At this point, moments later, the hand of a male officer whose body camera is recording the situation can be seen reaching out with a can of pepper spray and says, quote, "Here." And of course, she then gets sprayed while she's screaming, "Please wipe my eyes." And a male officer had announced, "I got her. I got her." So, yeah, that's not good. So now the local Democrat and Chronicle report that the young girl was later taken to Rochester General Hospital, where she did receive assessment and care and was later released to her family. But seriously, y'all feel good about yourselves? That's torturing a child, a 9-year-old. Obviously, she was having a breakdown. Something was going on. And then, guess what? That happens with children. I know. Kids, turns out kids don't always act appropriately, even around police officers who would have known. So maybe, I don't know, take that into consideration and maybe not mace and handcuff her. I'm just saying that this shouldn't be a difficult concept. That maybe you might not treat, and I'm going to go far as to dare say, maybe we shouldn't treat most people like this. Yes, I know, crazy. So now, in the response to the footage, these officers, this is Sawyer Hackett, who's the senior advisor and communications director for Julian Castro, said this in response: "These officers should be fired and indicted." Now, so far, we're going to see if that happens. But here's another part of this situation that you're probably not going to be surprised. This young girl happens to be black. Because of course. Of course. Is anyone really surprised at this? We know the reports, and we know the stories and the studies that have shown that generally police tend to overestimate the age of a black person, and so they tend to think that, or to perceive them as older than they are, and therefore more of a threat. Look, I understand kids can be difficult, and this is coming from a non-parent, but there is no justification to handcuffing and macing a 9-year-old. Really? Is it that much? Was she that much of a threat? No. And of course they say, well, she's a threat to herself and she's a threat to others, mostly a threat to herself. So we had to do something. We had to mace her. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right, but anyway, so the Rochester mayor, Lovely Warren, expressed concern for this child that was harmed during the incident. Here's what she said: "I have a 10-year-old child, so she's a child. She's a baby. This video, as a mother, is not anything you want to see. What happened on Friday was simply horrible and has rightly outraged all of our community." All right, so that means you're going to do something about it, right? Well, here's what she said afterwards. "Unfortunately, state law and union contract prevents me from taking more immediate and serious action. And neither the mayor nor the police department made it clear how many officers would be suspended, if any." She added that she would lead the charge in seeking charges to state law to allow municipal governments to take swift action in disciplining officers in such cases. So, I don't think anything good's going to happen. So now this isn't the first time a Rochester police officer has gotten in trouble. In fact, as the Times noted, the incident on Friday has brought renewed scrutiny to the police department months after the city was roiled by the disclosure that Daniel Prude, a black man, suffocated to death last year after the police officers had placed him in a hood. So, as for the cops are saying, we had to do it. We didn't have a choice but to mace the 9-year-old. Mike Mazzeo, president of the Rochester Police Locust Club, interesting, held a press conference where he defended the officer's action and even went so far to say that the victim could have been hurt worse if they had acted differently. Also saying the police did not violate any department protocols. Well, we didn't break any rules. I mean, we didn't have any rules against macing 9-year-olds, so it's okay that we mace 9-year-olds. Totally fine. We didn't have a rule. So we couldn't have broken a rule if we didn't have it. Wow. You maced a child. Here's what she said. Here's what he said. Mazzeo. "They broke no policies. There's nothing that anyone can say they did that's inappropriate." You maced a child. And you're sitting there and saying, we didn't do anything inappropriate. We just maced the black kid. It's totally fine. No, it's not totally fine. Now, here's the thing. I have to say it, okay? Defund the police already. A social worker, and here's the thing about defund the police. It takes money, additional money from the police that they would have used to crack skulls and mace 9-year-olds, and instead maybe gave it to social services like social workers. I know social workers that are tougher, I think, than your average police officer. That can take more abuse. That can take more shit. I've seen security guards with no guns, no stun guns, no anything, right? That are tougher than these police officers. So don't tell me that they can't do the job. They can do the job. I would rather a social worker have been there instead of a police officer. The kid was acting out as children do. Sometimes big mad, big tantrums, huge. And it can get physical. Understand. But there should have been a de-escalation here. There should have been somebody who knows what they're doing. Cops, let me tell you what cops are not trained for. Dealing with children. Dealing with 9-year-olds with mental breakdown. Okay? They're trained, police are trained to neutralize dangerous people through violent action. And that's all they know. Police are a hammer. And when you deploy a hammer, what does a hammer do best? It hammers nails. Well, it turns out not every situation is a nail. And maybe we should stop treating every situation as a nail. Maybe we should have, people that are specially trained to deal with mental and emotional problems. That's not cops. Cops are not meant to do that. Cops were not created to do that. That is not the job that they should be doing. Therefore, we should defund them. And that's it. I mean, why are we allowing police to do the jobs that they're obviously not trained and ready to do? Defund the police. Put that money towards mental health. Because look, if she's threatening to harm people and others, then she needs to get help, not assaulted in the name of compliance. I feel like this should be a common sense thing that we could all agree with. But unfortunately, sadly, it's not. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.